It's not what it seems. Hello, everybody. Hey, Molly. How you doing? I don't know if this is going to stay the way I want it to or not. I'm trying to get my lighting to stay put where I want it. How you doing? It's good to see you guys. I'm so excited to work on this today. I'm good, Molly. I hope you're doing good. I feel so incredibly organized. I have my phone charged. It's charging right now. I've got my drink. I've got a clean, wet cloth. I got music playing. Cleared a bit of space. I mean, the rest of the studio is an absolute gong show, but you know, this little corner of the world is kind of nice today, so we'll take it. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? It's good to see you. We got to talk about that design for you. I'm going to take a sip of my Pepsi. Yeah, I am. I'm good and set up. And I'm excited to work on this. Hey, Cindy. Yay, Jerry Lynn. Hello. Hi, Sharon. So finally our stay-at-home orders. Yeah, I know, right? I was so excited that I was going to get to go to Walmart and, you know, buy some clothes and go buy some stuff. And then to find out that it's not until the 14th. It's so frustrating. Oh, good, Molly, you joined the Facebook group. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw that request come through. I was so happy to see ya. There's some incredible talent, eh? Jamie Oliver. I can't remember. I'll have to pull her up. But she posted beautiful mirrors. And she gave a lot of great tips on how she's doing these mirrors. So I highly recommend checking out her post because I think we're going to have to do some mirror stuff soon. Hello, Sonali. How are you? Hi, Tabitha. Oh, there's so many people here. This is lovely. So after last week, we had up to here done. We only had this inner row of petals done. So I did the second row of petals to avoid repetition today so that we can start working on a different element. Now, the other thing that we're going to do today too is we're going to erase some guidelines. And I really wanted to do it the other day when I was playing around with this, but I thought, no, I have to wait and save it for when I'm on the live because it's just too satisfying. Thought I could buy some underwear and candle holders. Well, isn't that hilarious, right? I can buy a stinky candle to make sure that my bathroom doesn't smell like poo, but you can't buy new underwear or shoes or things that you need to run your business. Like, I know it's craft supplies, but this is a business for me, and I can't buy a lot of the stuff that I, you know, unless I dramatically, like I can't buy tissue paper for packing orders unless I do that through a website, and it's so overpriced when I can buy it all at the dollar store, right? It's crazy. I'm really ready for that to be done. I don't need the social part of it. I've kind of already explained to a lot of my friends that you extroverts have a lot of energy that you need to release, and I don't want to be there for it. I would not enjoy it. I want you guys to let loose and have the time of your lives. And call me when you've started to kind of run some of that energy out. So in the group, Molly, you can post pictures of the projects that you're working on. So what we've basically made it be is that it's not there to promote our business, but it's there to ask for help, to show projects we're working on, get inspiration, ask for advice, that sort of thing, and just share what you're working on. So it's a lot of fun. And Sharon is my admin on that page. She runs that page. Sharon, you are amazing. That page would have crumbled long ago without you, because I don't do anywhere near enough. Not even close. But anyways, Sharon runs challenges every month too. And Jerry Lynn won last month's challenge. So she's getting a keychain and that I made for, and she's getting that. And she got to choose the topic for this month's challenge. So check out the Facebook page if you want to join that. You can win little prizes every month. Hi, Diane. I'm glad you're doing good, Sonali. I hope you're doing good. You guys are with me? Yeah, she is. She's totally on top of things. Yeah, we just want it to be a nice little community where we can share and help each other and inspire each other and kind of go from there, right? And help each other out as much as we can. Hi, Rex. Oh, I can't wait to get your keychain to you, Jerry Lynn. I've got those paints sitting here for you too, so that's perfect. I'm going to send you a double whammy. You're getting some of that peacock blue in the mail, darling, because I have been lazy AF and haven't gotten that to you yet. Yeah, and no drama. No drama. It's just fun. I want this to be a happy space where you want to spend time and you want to interact with people, right? I want it to be a loving space and an inspiring space. So this is awesome. I love you guys. Just got to say that. I absolutely love you. So I got to show you what I did today just because. So I cut my own hair today. And if there's any hairdressers on here, I'm really sorry because I butchered it. There's long pieces hanging all over the place. And then my top layer, I cut it so way too short so I can't even like tuck it behind my ears or anything. But the sunglasses work. I'm excited to see what it looks like curly, but it just feels really good. Feels really, really, really good. Had to share that off because I'm like, I'm not a hairdresser, but I didn't completely butcher it as bad as it could have been. It could have been a lot worse. Aw, Sonali, I love you too. I know you won't bring any drama, Molly. Not even slightly concerned. Thanks, Jerry Lynn, for being so patient. Thanks, Christy. How are you, hun? It's good to see you. Thanks, Rex. Yeah, I think it feels nice. It's nice to have a change. It's cooler. It'll be easier. And as long as I feel semi put together, I'm okay with that. Okay, Sharon's going to be right back. And thank you, Elizabeth. All right, you guys ready for some satisfying part of this? So you could wait until the very end of your painting to get rid of all of your guidelines, but when I know I don't need them in the center, I just find it really satisfying to get rid of them. So we're going to get rid of some guidelines. And it's crazy because it's such a minimal difference. Oh, good, you got gesso. Fantastic, Christy. You're not going to regret it. I've found that at least 2 coats, if not 3, and they say, at least on the bottle that I have, Christy, it says to wait 24 hours between coats. I've never done that, and I haven't seen any issues. I do wait a good 6 to 8 hours between coats, but I haven't done the 24, so maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, but just keep that in mind. You want to prep fairly far in advance. All right. Let me just catch up. Trimmed my hair today. Also, I'm sitting here in curlers because I'm going to try to do photo selfie. Yay! That's fantastic, Rex. Have fun with it. Tabitha won't be painting with us today because she's packing some more stuff up so my fiance and I can move some stuff in the new house tomorrow. Oh, that's so exciting, Tabitha. Well, I'm glad you're here to hang out with us anyway. Yeah, 1 mug left to paint. Yeah, that's the thing. We're getting low on these supplies and we need to. And I'm dying to get up to the dollar store up in Lindsay where I used to get the white mugs. I'm hoping that they've got something in stock, even just more teapots. I'm dying to get more teapots to paint. Well, we're glad you're here, Tabitha. Do I sand it too, Christy? No, I don't sand it. I just put the coats on, but I haven't had any clumpiness. It's always felt kind of nice and smooth already. So I haven't really felt the need to, but you totally could with a really fine grit sandpaper for sure. Okay, so It's so funny how satisfying this part is. I keep saying this, and I'm actually going to turn this light off to see if the chalk lines show up any better. No, that one didn't. Let's try this one. So, but it's crazy how just these minimal lines that really, you can't really see them that much. They don't stand out. They're not jumping out in your face. But when you get rid of them, it is so freaking satisfying to see what's left. So I use watercolor pencil crayon, as you guys know. So what I do is I start with an eraser, and I try to get as much of it with the eraser as I can. And then whatever I can't get with the eraser, I go back in with a damp cotton swab and get the rest. So I'm just going to erase right up to here. I find that doing this just makes me feel like I'm progressing on a piece. It doesn't feel quite so work in progress. I feel like I've completed some pieces, some portions, or at least the majority of some portions. And it just feels really, really good. Okay, so sometimes I will get a big paintbrush and use it to wipe everything off, just to get anything out of there. And I'm going to grab my cotton swab, and then I will be back to catch up on comments. So I released the first 2 sets of dates for the mug painting parties. I'm super excited. They are available on my website now. Each design is going to have two different dates and times. And right now I'm planning on doing 2 different designs this month. I'm so excited. So the first one is actually going to be this coming Friday night. So a week from yesterday. All right, I need more water. Where's my water? Oh yeah, I moved it for some reason. All right, let me catch up here. Can we have a session on painting teapots? We sure can. We absolutely can. 100%. I would like to talk to them as a supplier and potentially get a whole bunch of them. I tried with the white mugs, but their supplier, they weren't able to get anything, so they said they might still get them eventually. So, but I'm hoping that I could start to maybe work with them for some supplies, because they can be relatively inexpensive, and then I can pass that on to you guys, right? Which would be nice to be able to, you know, get a teapot for $6, or you know, some of these blank tumblers and stuff. I'm gonna do one thing that it's high on my list for when I can get back into the store when this when everything opens back up again here. I really want to get some of those insulated wine tumblers and do some of those too. And if I can find stuff that's fairly accessible, even the glass tumblers, right? The glass wine tumblers are great. If I can find something that's fairly accessible, then like if we think that most people can find them at their own local dollar store, then we can mix it up and do other things besides mugs, right? We can do wine glasses, we can do candle holders, we can do vases, we can do any of that stuff, which would be, I think, really, really fun. So it's so funny that something so simple as erasing some guidelines can really make you feel like you're just making some good progress. Your Q-tip, if you're doing this with watercolor pencil crayon, your Q-tip is going to get some paint back on it, but I've never found that it took enough paint off that I had to worry about it. And if I did in like a specific spot or something, I could always go in with some black paint and touch it back up. But isn't that crazy how something so simple, right? It just looks so much cleaner now, right? Especially once it dries without those little chalk marks in between. I'm not painting either. I'm still feeling sick. Oh, Sharon, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Sending you lots of love. Hello, Catherine. How you doing? Say hi to the ocean for me. All I did was go to the dentist and then the pharmacy, and I caught something. Oh, Sharon, I'm so sorry. So I'm just, when I was using the wet cotton swab, I just put just a tiny bit of water on it. You don't want the cotton swab to be super saturated and drip all over the place, because then a lot more paint will come off. But when it's just kind of damp, you can kind of get in there and scrub just in those spots, and it'll come off fairly easy. Sunny, hot, and humid there, Sharon. Oh, that probably doesn't help either, eh? I'd like the teapot one, but after stores open up. Yes, totally, exactly, Elizabeth. Because that's the thing, I can't buy any more until I get up there. And I've got 2 that I can paint. Only one of them is going to be usable though, because one of them has a big crack in it. So I'm going to try and seal it with some Mod Podge and just make it kind of, you know, it needs to be a planter, or it needs to, you know, be just for decoration or something like that. So I only have one that I can paint, and I'm not happy about that. I need more of them. So it'll definitely be a while. 30mm bezels. What about Michaels? Did you try Michaels? Yeah, it's going to be so fun. We're going to get to paint so many fun different things. And sometimes it'll just be, hey, go and just walk through the dollar store and wait for something to talk to you. You know what that means when I say that, right? You know that you walk and you see that thing and it looks at you and goes, oh, you could paint me. And you get that voice in your head going, oh, I could totally paint that. Right? Maybe that's one of the ones we do. And then we share all the different things that we find that we really wanted to paint. There's so much stuff that we can do with all of this, you guys, and I can't wait. All right, so we are going to go into some swoops. And that is going to be fun. Found a teapot on eBay and shipping was reasonable. Also a loved one on... Oh, that's good. Yeah, shipping can be so hard, right? Like, to ship one of my mugs from just outside of Toronto to anywhere in the US costs about, well, these last ones, they were $20. It's crazy to me. Oh, no. Oh, I wonder. I don't know of any place in particular. Yeah, I'm not sure. That sounds like, unfortunately, a mission for Google, my dear. All right, one thing I do want you to notice here is this darkest purple that I used really does not contrast against the black very well. It's very hard to see, especially on the black background, right? And especially from across the way. Like if you're on the other side of the room, you don't know that that last thing of swoops is there. So what I might do once the piece is completely done and I've added all of the detail that I want, I might go in and go back over those really dark purple ones with just a tiny bit of white or a different purple mixed in there to see if I can make it look a little bit brighter so it stands up against the background. I know, we get to ship one to you soon, Molly. No, we're about 3 hours apart. I've been working on a whole bunch of small rocks that I've painted all white, and then I've been using every color on... Oh, nice. Oh, that's fun. That's so fun. All right, I'm going to try here to get in nice and close because we're going to do swoops. My plan for the swoops is to go for the darkest color in the middle and do a fairly large row. Like I'd really like it to come all the way up to here and be nice and big. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a dot here and then we'll add some other kind of dot work in between, but I think I'd like the swoop to go from there to about there. So I might even just do the swoops on those guidelines alone for now and just see how that works. Well, and that's the thing, right? When you are enjoying the practice, right? The practice becomes so easy. And then once the practice becomes easy, you'll find that your skill just catapults forward. And you still take steps back. That's going to happen. It's not a big deal, right? We're learning, we're trying new things. We're going to go through what we're going to go through. but it's so much fun when fun is so all in there. I am, and it's all coming out in the dots. That's amazing. I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so for these swoops, I'm gonna try to drag it down with my tool because it's not a super huge distance, and I'm gonna try it and see if I like the look of it. If I don't, I will go back to the technique that I used to use, which is dropping the paint off in a dot and then using my pin on the end of a pencil to pull it down. But I'm hoping, actually I'm gonna try a different tool. Let's try this one. All right, so let's see what happens here. That's there, okay. All right, let's give this a shot. Get really comfortable with experimentation. Oh, that's nowhere near big enough. Nowhere near. All right, so we're going back to this one. I'm just gonna go over top of it. So I'd have to pull it fairly far, but I think that looks all right. Let's try a couple more and see. So I'm getting a lot, when I'm getting my paint, I'm really stirring it in there and trying to scoop a lot of paint out on my tool. And then I really want to hold it here for a while, let a lot of that paint start to roll off of the tool. You'll start to see it starting to pool, and then you just slowly kind of brush it down and slow it down when you need to let more paint come off the tool. It's hard because this one's hard to see too, but that's okay. So you want lots of paint on that tool though. And really let the paint pool down onto the canvas and then start brushing it down. And the slower you go, the more time that paint has to pull down off of the tool. It does while it's wet, but it's from across the room that it really kind of bothers me. It does, but it does when it's wet, and I was hopeful for that. So I think if I add just a little bit of purple that I know is a little bit more opaque, it'll keep the nice dark quality and just have a little bit more contrast maybe. All right. So the plan for this is to keep going, do the row of swoops, and then do another row of petals. After that next row of petals, after this swoops, I'm anticipating that it's going to bring us up to this line, or that's where I'm intending it to go. And then we're gonna do another set of rows of dots like this. This is the part where you can really kind of get into it and chill. I've got a crappy camera angle though, don't I? There we go. Some neon could work, but I don't have a neon purple. And with this one wanting to stay in the purples, I don't want to change the shade of the purple in this one. I'm hoping that just adding a slightly lighter, a little bit more opaque purple will do the trick. But yeah, if you're okay, if you are at a point where something like this is happening and you want, now the other problem with neon is neon tends to be fairly translucent, but adding something else, a different color in to slightly change it is always a fun thing to do, especially on the fly, right? It's really fun on the fly to just start mixing colors and creating what kind of comes to mind instead of having a whole palette planned out. Let yourself have some fun with that. But that's definitely a possibility. of something that could work for sure. I have to get going soon, but I might add something to the Facebook group if I'm allowed. I just don't want to do anything. Molly, please don't worry about it. Please don't worry about it. Just go in and introduce yourself and put a couple pictures up of a couple things you painted. Catherine bought a jar of gesso, so I'm going to prepare some canvases. Yay! Fantastic. Yeah, Molly, don't stress, my dear. You're totally good. Just go in and introduce yourself, and if you want to post some stuff that you've made recently, you can totally do that. 100%. So when you get into larger pieces like this is where I find it to be in a very different level of therapeutic goodness. Like when you're painting small stones, you can feel the good feeling of getting projects done fairly quickly, seeing them progress fairly quickly, you know, seeing these pretty little pieces, practicing really difficult techniques and kind of those micro techniques. There's a lot of gratification to be had there, and there's a lot of fun and relaxation there. But I find with these large canvases is where you can really sink in and kind of get into that almost meditative state, right? Because these rows aren't going by quickly, right? They're taking time to complete. So when you have no choice but to just take your time because it's a longer road, it's incredibly therapeutic to really sit and just kind of breathe through it and let yourself enjoy whatever it is you're listening to, or take little breaks here and there to have little drinks, like whatever it is, right? Exactly, Sharon. Thank you for that. Yeah, the swoops are pretty fun. It's the fact that they're drying so dark, but I'm also hoping that maybe once I add the other ones next to them, then the dark purple will make sense there. All right, one more of these, and then we're gonna go to the next lightest color. So I started with the darkest purple that I have, and we're gonna work our way down to the base of the swoops to be in the lightest color purple, and we're gonna throw in a little white detail there too. So I'm going from number 5 to number 4. Little martini drinks. Totally. Martinis. So when you're working on a large piece like this is one where you really want to kind of settle in, okay? Bye, Molly. Take care of yourself. You have a good day, too. And this is where things can slow down a bit, though, too, right? Because you have to hold your hand a completely different way to paint now, right? Like, in order for me to go in and do the next swoops, I've got to hold my arm out like this, right? To get it in there at that angle. Or you could try doing swoops from the top down. I've never found those very easy. My hand gets shaky and I kind of go all squiggly at the end. But you could, in theory, do your swoops from down here going in this way. And maybe we try it. Maybe we try it and see how it goes. Otherwise, you're going to be in these more awkward positions if you want to continue on without letting it dry. Right? So just kind of prepare yourself for that. The walking dots are nice in that aspect because you can dot across from you for the peak dots if you want to keep that line straight like I do, because that's the only way I can keep my line straight. But then when I'm walking the dots, I'm down here, so I'm not putting my arm in any kind of weird position. But with these swoops, it's a whole different story. Okay? So I'm going to try to do one here. And let's see if I can control it. So I'm going to start it a bit lower. It's not terrible. I guess that worked pretty good. All right, well, let's keep trying it anyway and see how long it works for. It feels really weird, really, really weird. Like it's not comfortable. But it's because it's so new. My concern is that I am getting it too close to the dark purple. However, I think if I was doing it the other way, I would be almost too far away. All right, well, let's see. Hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm doing good, thank you. I'm glad you were able to pop in to say hi. I hope you have a good day today. We're working on the swoops for the big one. First row of swoops. We're trying something different, doing swoops from the bottom up. And it's not going too bad. Oh, good. I'm so glad. That's wonderful. That's so good to hear, Chris. I'm so glad. All right, needed a sip of my Pepsi there. Now, let's see how well we can keep this good streak going. A little sloppy, but that's all right. It's actually working pretty good. Now, if you wanted to create more of the plumpy, almost teardrop kind of ones, as opposed to, I kind of look at these ones as more drips. If you wanted the plumpier ones where they're plumpier at the top and they come down into a really tiny point, that creates much more of the fanning effect as well. The wider the tops are, right? Now, if you wanted to do that, the best way to do that is to drop paint down and then use a tool to pull the paint down into the shape that you want it to be in, as opposed to using the tool like I'm doing here. Okay, so it depends on how plumpy you want those swoops to be as far as, you know, how you want them to fan out. So just try it whatever way feels good to you. And it's going to depend on the project too, right? Like I've got another canvas that I've been working on this week, and it's, I just wanted to do the dropping the dot and pulling it down with the pencil that has the pin in it that I use for that. So it's really up to you based on the effect that you want to get, and remembering that you can switch back and forth between techniques as often as you want to. Okay, just cleaning off my tool. Part of the reason it's nice that I was able to get this to work so easily is they're creating consistent shapes compared to the swoops that are in here. So they're going to look like the same animal, just different size, which is definitely something that's appealing to me anyway. This is where you can really sink in and enjoy it. Yep, I can definitely show you the other canvas. I'll do that once I finish this row here. And yeah, we can compare the swoops to the one on here, the ones on here. There we go. Making progress. But see how much longer each row takes, right? The larger piece you're on, the more you're going to be spending doing that particular technique multiple times in a row. This is where you kind of get tested a little bit, and you really learn a lot about yourself and what you like about the process and what you dislike about the process. But this is also where inspiration and idea can hit you while you're in a really cool space working on something like this. Oh, I just put my finger in that paint. All right, here we go. This has worked out significantly better than I expected it to, going from the bottom up. Significantly better. Oops. A little chunk of paint fell off. I keep hearing lovely birds singing. I can't tell if it's on your audio or your feed or if you're just painting with your windows open. I do have my windows open. It's definitely not coming from my audio because I'm listening to Pulp right now on my 90s mix. But the birds are just outside the door here and they're being a little loud today. The closer I listen, I can tell. Yeah, they're here at the farm. Might hear some horse squeals throughout the afternoon too. We have, what do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 7 horses and 5 donkeys. 2 of the horses are boarders, so we've got a couple of boarders that are staying with us. So we've got 7 horses now. 4 of them are ours. I say that like they're mine. They're Anita and Lars's, but I'm here, so I say they're ours. It's pretty heavenly. I wish that I had better cell phone service outside, and if I can ever get myself a rural cell phone plan that is geared for being out here, I'd love to be able to do some lives from out with the animals. Who knows, maybe when I get my camper and I'm living out in the back closer to the barn, maybe when I have my own little Wi-Fi hotspot back there, maybe that'll be enough to have it so I can go live out there. It'd be kind of cool. Just bought 16 new multi-surface paints. Oh, nice. What colors did you get? Hello, Bellbeer. How are you? It's good to see you. Once I'm done this row, I'm going to pull the camera back so you guys can see what it looks like now. And I'll bring in that other canvas to show you the other swoops and how they differ from this one. And Christy, I'm just going to assume that you want to be updated on my 90s playlist, so I'm now listening to Chris Cornell. Christy's my music person. Okay, here we go. Well, that one was a little fatter than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. Hey, Joni. All right, so that's where we're at now, you guys, with just a couple of swoops. See the difference it makes? Oh, you can hear my arm squeaking as I move my camera. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So there is the closer view. Let's go back out here and let's just zoom in this time, shall we? There we go. That's a little quieter. Okay, so we're gonna keep going with more colors. That was only color number 4, so we've got 3 more colors to go. We're gonna go 3, 2, and 1, and a little bit of white to complete this row of swoops. These large pieces are so incredibly gratifying, but they take a lot of patience and being willing to do a lot of repetitiveness, you know, repetitively. You know, doing the same pattern over and over again, color after color after color, until you get the size that you want. Now, the other thing that you can do, and this is one of the things that I'm trying to explore a lot more as well, is just use larger dots, right? So if your canvas is 5 times the size of what you normally paint on, start with a tool that's 5 times bigger than what you normally paint on, and you can create the same thing on something big. But then you need different tools and stuff too, right? And because there are some larger dotting tools out there, they have kind of a darker blue handle and they're wicked heavy. And they take so much paint, you guys. So much paint. Like, I think you would be better off going one by one down the sizes of your tools to create walking dots for a really big piece than you would with those tools. Now, again, that's just my opinion because you need to put a lot of paint on them and they're really heavy and uncomfortable to use for me. You might really like them, but again, that's when we're talking on large pieces. The reason I was mentioning that was because the only way to kind of help compensate for the size of the piece is to change the size of how you're dotting, right? So that's something that I really want to practice with because I want to start creating things that are larger, like significantly larger. And you just can't go that small on those pieces, right? You just can't, because then the pattern almost just goes away. So this is kind of as small as I would go on something like this, short of just tiny detail that will stand out that color contrasts enough. But when you really get to some of these bigger pieces, you might have to start looking at just creating everything on just a larger scale, which can be really difficult because if you're not used to using those tools, there's different methods that you kind of have to go through. It's going to be uncomfortable. Like, I'm preparing myself for the discomfort of doing a piece like that. And I don't think it's going to be bad. I just think it's going to be uncomfortable because the whole process, the whole mindset, the whole go-to stuff that I'm comfortable with is not going to be there. But that's what makes it fun. So we're going to try it, but oh, thank you, honey. The haunted house special effects, right? Well, let's keep going with the swoops then. Let's see how we do. Let's see how we do with color number 3. I'm still using the same size tool, and I'm just going out and down a bit from where the top of the other swoop was, and I'm bringing this over to try and get the point to come in as tight at the bottom as I can. This is where if you have the bigger, chunkier swoops, it's going to fill in a lot of that space for you. Right? And you just bring it all the way down. I need to fix this one because it's not a shape that I want on there. There we go. 2 pinks, 5 blues, 3 purples, gray, slate, yellow, orange, tangerine, brown, and chocolate. Oh, Catherine, that's delicious. That's wonderful. Yeah, what did you go with? And there you go. Chris Cornell followed up by The Cure. So we still have lots of room there for 2 more rows of petals, rows of swoops after this one. Should bring it in to about here, which will be perfect. A nice kind of a blooming effect. So for the next mug parties, we're going to try them in Google Meet as opposed to on a Facebook Live because of the issue with comments and everything before. And I think it'll be fun to have kind of a big meeting where we're all there and we can show what we're working on and show our progress, all of that good stuff. And I'm also going to record it. So if you ever do decide to come to one of the mug parties, you will get access to the recording of it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the recordings of them yet. As for right now, this is it. You buy a ticket to come, you get access to the recording. But that may change in the future and create something new on Patreon or something maybe. I'm not really sure. I haven't gotten that far. I want to just get them going first. Right, so out and down just a bit from the top of where you were before. You can keep them all level and it will create a beautiful fanned effect as well. But I find it very difficult to keep them all the same length to keep my spacing that way. Now, if you draw it out ahead of time, then that's totally different story, right? And don't be afraid to do that. If you know that you want to have petals in a certain spot, you can always draw them out ahead of time. Or, sorry, the swoops kind of, I guess they're kind of like palm leaves, they almost look like, as opposed to the petals. Go. I feel like there's a vehicle pulling into the driveway here, so just a heads up that it might get noisy. Might get really noisy because the dogs might go kind of cuckoo. We'll find out. All right, we're making progress, you guys. We are almost 3/4 of the way there. Did you hear the horses? It's just the horses acting up. Could you guys hear that? Hopefully you guys are still there and we still have connection. I haven't seen the comments refresh in a bit. Hopefully we're all right. So we're getting there. We are getting there. Let me know if you guys can see. It's too far away to do that, unfortunately, but I will go out and get some video of them soon. I would love to be able to have reliable service to be able to do a live from out there. That would be so fun. That would be so fun. There we go. This is definitely the faster way. Like if we were doing this with the pin on the end of the pencil eraser, this would be taking a significantly longer amount of time. So if you're going to practice a technique, I definitely recommend practicing this one where you drag and practice with these swoops, because my goodness, it is a big time saver. Huge time saver. There we go. Almost ready to move on to color number 4. This is the hard part about tutorials like this, right? Because it's a lot more repetition because you've got a lot bigger space, it takes a lot more time to move on to the next piece of the puzzle, right? So I apologize if it's tedious in any way. All right, so now I'm going in for, so I started at color number 5, which was my darkest. That's just the way I labeled them. So I started with number 5, working my way out. 5, 4, 3. So now I'm going in with my color number 2. I like to use these little paint pots, especially if I'm mixing color, because then I can have a lot of it there. And then I can number the lids too. And then when you can't write on them with a Sharpie anymore, you put a dollop of paint on there and then right on top of the dollop of paint. It works lovely. All right, let's keep going. All right. Oh, I should give that a stir. When you're working on a big project, if you're coming back to your paints a couple days later or a week later, make sure you give them a good stir. You don't have to go crazy or anything, but you definitely want to make sure that they're in good shape. Oh, sorry for the shaking. I keep putting my arms down. All right. I just got to move my cloth because I got to switch it around because it was full of purple paint from cleaning my tools. But I'd like to introduce you guys to the horses one of these days too. They're pretty special. Now I'm still using the same size tool. I'm just not swiping down as much. Right? Because we're making the swoop itself is a bit shorter. Right? So I'm still using the same size tool so that I end up with the same size top of it. I'm just not dragging the paint down as far as I was for the longer ones so that I get a shorter swoop with a nice little point. Oh, let's move this. Ah! I gotta clean that off. I clean my tools like crazy when I'm doing swoops because you're picking up so much paint to create enough, to have that paint that's there to move. You have to clean your tool quite often or it gets kind of gummy, at least with the paints that I've used anyway, with the craft acrylics. It is with the multi-surface though too, I've found, because it's just a thicker paint to begin with. So when it starts to dry, it just kind of, really gets clumpy pretty quickly. There we go. I love seeing these color grades kind of come to life though. I love seeing them come together. This is making me want to do a lot more of them. Oh, and I didn't show the other painting. Hold on, I'll do this swoop and then I'll show the other painting, the other canvas. I'm so sorry. All right, let me grab it. I'm gonna zoom out and then I'll move you out. So that's where we're at. And then where is the other canvas? Oh, there it is. So for this one, the gold swoops, I did the gold swoops using putting the paint down and then pulling the paint down with this pencil that has a pin stuck into the eraser, and I would pull that paint down. Okay, and that would create this kind of swoop. So it does allow you to move the paint around a heck of a lot more, and control where that paint is going a lot more. These swoops right next to it, I did using the tool and dragging the tool down. So you can kind of see the difference between those different ones because I find the ones that you drag down with the tool, they stay wider longer, and then they kind of come out to a point really fast. Really, really fast. Okay. So this is another canvas that I'm working on. One of the techniques that I'm working on here is overlapping petals to make them look like they're overlapping. You can see it a little bit better on this one. Kind of that pinwheel effect that you get with the half petals, only I completed the petals after I did the half ones. So they're all kind of going behind this half. So that's going to be a tutorial coming up soon too. For sure. For sure. So I hope that that helps. So I'm going to pull you back down. Get you back in here and let's get this row of petals done. Okay. There we go. I'm actually kind of enjoying this, doing the petals this direction. I feel like I'm doing better than if I was pulling them down. I might have to start doing this more. How are you guys making out? Do you guys have any questions? Everybody doing okay? Excuse me, sorry. Oops. Yep, we're on this one. I couldn't remember which one I was on. You can see the color grade really starting to come out now. There we go. Oh, thanks, Catherine. So what do you guys think? Does this make you want to do some larger pieces? Or are you at the point where you're like, wow, this is so too much? Or does it make you kind of go, yeah, I really want to do that? It's making me want to do more. I want to do more. Lots more. Lots more. Bigger. Bigger. Even bigger. Huge. I've got a big one, a 4-foot canvas that I started when I was still living in my apartment, so well over a year ago, all with all the metallics. So I'm going to have to do that one soon too. I'd really like to come up with a nice collection of big canvas pieces and be able to, you know, have some prints of them, or maybe even like talk to galleries or places. You never know, right? I think that would be really fun. There we go. I sit and daydream about a new studio someday where I'll have all of these huge workspaces so I could have a bunch of big canvases laid out and still have room to, you know, work on my computer and pack my orders and make stones. And I think that would be an ultimate dream. A separate section for streaming, a separate section for workshops. I'd love to eventually have a building on my own property where I could hold workshops. That would be so fun. That's why I'm so excited about doing these online mug parties, because I think they're just going to be so fun. And I like teaching, and I'm excited to take this next big step. This is a big step for me and my business, and I'm so excited for it, and I'm so grateful to you guys for joining me on the ride and having fun with me. So see, I could have had these all come out and be more like, where's my pencil? Because I can erase this after. And have it be more like out here, right? Because I could have had it so that it was all even with that top one, right? But I like the look of, and I don't trust myself to get the lines all exactly the same without gridding it out. And we all know how I feel about spending too much time gridding. I get bored with it and I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I'm definitely looking forward to trying Canvas, so I'm going to prepare them and give a try this week. Yay! That's awesome. I'm excited for you, Catherine. It's going to be fun. Once we get to the end of this, then there's all kinds of different things that we're going to be able to talk about, such as finishing, transport, if you were ever to paint something big and send it. I'm going to say right now that I'm going to have to do my research on that. I've got a couple bits of information on that sort of stuff, but not a lot on how to ship larger pieces. But I also rely an awful lot on the service providers to help me, right? Like, I have no problem going into a UPS store and saying, this is what I want to ship, how do I do it? And I trust that they kind of have some expertise there. So the amount of information that is available out online for all of us is absolutely incredible. But it takes a lot of man hours, right, to get through and research all of that sort of stuff. So, but just know that, you know, there's lots and lots of spaces that are happily handing out answers, and make sure you take advantage of those, right? And I'm going to try as best as I can to, excuse me, to share all that information as well, too. Well, and you got to go with what you're comfortable, right, Sharon? You got to go with where you're comfortable, where your happy place is. If it doesn't sound fun, then you already know my answer, right? You want it to be fun. You want to work on your piece. So that's where we're at now. We've got one more purple to do. 5, 4, 3, 2. So I'm actually going to add in a little bit of white right now. We're going to mix it up a little. Oh, yeah, yes, please post a picture. Keep doing the things that sound fun, Sharon. Only the things that interest you, right? Oh, Manon can't hear, but she can watch. Okay, well, hi, Manon. All right, so we ready to go in and do this next little bit? I'm going to add in a little something in my swoops. I'm going to add in some white. I'm going to zoom in this way and see how this goes. So I'm going to add in some white, but I am not going to add in more swoops here. I am going to add in dots, a line of walking dots. Specifically, I am going to take my smallest nail dotting tool. This is not the same as the micro dotter. Okay, but it's the smallest nail dotting tool that I had in my set. And I'm going to dip it in white paint. And we are going to do some walking dots down the petals like this. Saw you waving. Okay, good. I'm glad. Orlina, hello. All right, let's keep going. I like doing different things with my swoops. So putting a line of dots in between some swoops just sounds fun to me. Now, I have done some, it's been a long time, where I did a row of these walking dots in between every swoop. I've done them where I've done a row of walking dots on top of the swoop for top dots. And that's worked really well too. That's been a lot of fun. So mix up your elements. There's no rules of what has to stay in one particular place or be used for one particular thing. And this will just add a cool, nice little bit of detail. Walk them all the way down. Thank you, Manon. Thanks, Christy. Yeah, play with stuff. Try different stuff. Put stuff together. See what happens. You'll know very quickly if you don't like it. And that is not a failure. That is I took a step on an instinct, and it gave me more clarity on what I do like. I have a much clearer picture in my head of what I do want to see than before I did it. Go for that clarity. It's incredibly valuable. It'll teach you what you want to practice. It'll teach you what you like and what you don't like, and help you develop your style, all of that sort of stuff. Anna's in Holland as well, Manon. Yeah, the white looks cool, eh? This is a trick that I started on my mugs the first time. I haven't done it on anything larger, but I really liked the effect of it. I thought it adds a really cool bit of detail. And even though they're very tiny dots, this is where the paradox, one of the paradoxes, I guess, is for doing a large piece. When we talked about you have to be able to do things that can be seen from the other side of the room, you know, this is going to be able to be seen, maybe not the level of detail, but the color contrast is certainly going to provide an awful lot of value there as far as that. I hope that makes sense. There we go. And just keep spinning and spinning. This is one of those times where I wish I had a much larger Lazy Susan. My Lazy Susan is nowhere near large enough to hold this for me. The other option that you can do if you have a large canvas like this that doesn't have cross boards on the back in the like across through the middle, you can always add your own. That would be an option as well, because the crossboards would give it something to rest on top of a Lazy Susan, even if it's too small. My Lazy Susan, this is all plain canvas on the back. There's nothing back here. So if I was to put this on my Lazy Susan, you'd see the circle pressing into the canvas very, very clearly. Lazy Susans will make your life significantly easier when you're painting a canvas. Significantly. I got mine for $13, I think, $11 or $13 at Canadian Tire Hardware. So if you have a decent hardware store near you, probably Home Depots and stuff like that would probably have them as well. But check or even a Walmart or somewhere, check for the housewares, right? Right? It completely changes with the dots. It looks so different now, eh? Isn't that fun? The number of times where I've had an idea that has gotten me up and interrupted me from whatever else I was doing and got me to go try something that didn't work out. I cannot even begin to tell you the number of times that that's happened. I've lost count. It happens all the time. But there are also, as many times as that happens, there are plenty of times where it works out even better, or something that you don't even mean to do just comes to you and you do it, and it's just so incredibly gratifying. Catherine, how far are you from San Clemente? Are you in, I think we talked about this once before. Are you in the San Diego area? Oh, we went super blurry. Let me pull back out. Let's try this again. Let's see if that's better. I'm worried that it's focusing too much on my hand and not on the painting. It was really good to see you, Sonali. Take care of yourself, please. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for coming by to hang out. Oops, made a little mess of that one, but that's okay. How we doing, everybody? We doing all right? Got a good deal on 2-pack Amazon. What is a good deal? US and Canada. Christina bought as well and showed everyone. Yeah, when everybody, oh, that's amazing that you were able to get a 2-pack too. Yeah, I bet they went out of stock pretty quick. You guys probably cleaned them out pretty quick. That's awesome though that you were able to get your hands on a set like that. That's amazing. But a Lazy Susan does make a huge difference. Huge difference. There we go. We're getting there. And then I'm going to pull back and let you see how this looks. This is fun because it gives that punch of contrast, but it also keeps the contrast from the previous rows happening, right? Because all the previous rows had the white in it. There's going to be white, little tiny white dots in between this, kind of like it is over here. So this whole section is going to be covered in little white dots. We've got a whole bunch of detail still to add in that center section. Sure, Elizabeth, if you don't mind posting a link, that would be awesome. Doesn't hurt to look, right? And see if they have them again. Thank you. All right, so let's go back in here. So keeping that kind of consistency from row to row, I really like. It feels satisfying to me. That's a word that I've really kind of come to terms with since starting to do dot mandalas. And that's satisfied. Like, I used to think that satisfied was making do. And I totally understand what satisfied is now. It's just, everything's good exactly the way it is. There's a hair in here I'm trying to get out, you guys, and I can't get it. I don't know if the paint is too wet. Got it. Whew. That's like an intense game of operation. Either or, Elizabeth, it's totally okay. You can totally post the link because they might not have. Oh, yeah, they would have it here. Yeah, because you found it up here in Canada. Yeah, I'm okay with. That would be wonderful, actually. You don't mind? Yeah, I'll add it to my list. Thank you, Elizabeth. I obviously don't think about it enough to to have it be natural to just do that. So yeah, thank you. What she's talking about, you guys, I have an Amazon link in my bio because I'm an Amazon affiliate. So if you buy anything through the link, the Amazon link in my bio, I get a small percentage. Your internet's acting up. Oh, it was good I'm glad you were able to be here, Tabitha. Great luck with the move. I'm excited for you. I hope everything goes wonderfully. And it was good to have you here. Thanks for coming to hang out. Oops, I was using the wrong side of the tool. All right, let's keep going. Let me try again. Sometimes when I get to the end, I have to turn the tool a little bit to find more paint. Yeah, and we do have supply information in there. I should I should go in and take a look at that and see if there's other stuff I should be adding to my list. And put a post up reminding people about that link. With so many new members. We're over 650 members of the Facebook group, you guys. How crazy is that? Crazy. All right, so these ones are done. Are you ready? So there we go, you guys. Here, I'm gonna set it up and then let you see it this way. There we go. So that's where we're at so far. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna do some dot work in here with one of the lighter shades, probably. Yeah, it'll definitely be with one of the lighter shades. And I'm gonna do the same in here as well, and then there's gonna be all the white detail. I don't know quite yet what I'm gonna do with these guys. I might do a bunch of these, but I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. So we're gonna let that one sit a bit more. But all of these little white dots are gonna go in there. We're gonna do some detail in between here and in here to close that space up a little bit. I still want that lots of black showing through because that does give it a really nice 3D effect. But to have something in there to kind of connect them, especially with this one because it's a little bit longer, we're gonna have like a dot here and then do a couple walking dots down in this way. And I gotta fix that dot. I forgot I scraped it. So the next thought for me was, and maybe we'll rethink it, was to do another row of petals and then another row of this. But now I'm kind of thinking, see, this is the part that comes with doing the large canvases, right? What I'm grappling with here is, do I do these rows again here now and then make petals and swoops on the outside of that? I'm thinking we could do these lines now and then go back to the petals and the swoops for the very outside. Because I think it's on the outside, it's going to be one row of petals and one row of swoops. Why don't we do that? Let's do the... Yeah. We good? Everybody with me? Yeah, that's how big she is. She's pretty good. So what do you think, guys? Does that make sense? I think that's what I'm going to do. But it helps to be able to put the piece up and go look at it from a different angle and really see what it is you want, what is the look that you're trying to achieve, right? So I'm going to add in that other bar of these dots. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do them very similarly to how I did this one. Only, how am I going to do that? I think I'm going to do them exactly the same way. So we're going to start with number 4, which is the second darkest. And I've got a guideline here that's going to help me out. And we're going to start just dividing that whole section in half. Yeah, propping it up makes a big difference. It gives you a whole different vantage point, right? When you're looking at it, because I'm still not looking at it even top down, right? I'm looking at it in from the side and down because of the angle of where my head is compared to this. I'm not standing right over top of it. And when you can see something straight on, it gives you a whole different, hugely different perspective. All right, sip of pop. I am going to go with the same, no, I'm going to go with a slightly larger. So in here, I'm not going to do that size tool. I'm actually going to start with this one. Now, I don't remember what tool that is because I didn't write it down. So I'm just going to grab a couple different tools and see if I can find the right one. Oh, thank you, Chemist. Thank you so much, sweetie. Chemist is Christy's son. And he's absolutely delightful. So is it a 7? It's either a 6 or a 7. I'm going to say it was probably a 6. So we're going to go with a 6. It doesn't have to be exact, right? Aw, thank you, Chemist. That's so sweet. All right, so here we go. We got color number 4. So I'm going to put this way up here. I'm not going to be able to see the comments. because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing from way up here. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, is I am going to start with my size 6, and I know where I want to place the dot. I want it to be just on the other side of the guideline, right about there. Okay, so I'm out a little bit from the guideline. Oh, I had water on my arm. Whoops, no panic. And then I'm going to actually follow the guidelines because that's where my swoops are at, and I'm comfortable with where they are. So I'm going to try and create that same distance, and actually because I've got the guidelines, I can do it this way because I've got lots of points of reference. Hopefully you guys can still see me here. Move this over here a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dot on each one of my guidelines about the same distance away from the tip of that swoop. There we go. I really want to start playing with some different elements of design in the next little bit, you guys, like leaving more negative space, really playing around with how these elements can go together to create a beautiful mandala without having to be all petals and swoop petals, like being able to create these elements almost like snowflake elements. I kind of think of them in my mind to really put together these cool different pieces. So be prepared for a lot of experimentation over the next little while. I'm going to practice with some ideas on the mugs and probably the pendants too and stones, with the idea to progress up to some new stuff for larger canvases because I really want to push it a bit. I do have a canvas that I'm going to be working on. I'm hoping to even work on some of it maybe even tonight, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I played with something new last night and I want to keep playing with it, or yesterday I should say, where I was able to create what looks like a neon light. I saw this technique from someone on TikTok, and I've got to find her because I want to make sure I give her credit. But I created this mandala, so it looks almost like a neon light. Now there's still a lot of issues with it because I should have used a different darker blue, and there's different things that I know I can do to really amp up the effect of this. But I really want to play with this more on mandalas and really start practicing with little brushes and see what I can learn to do, because I'm even thinking with the round ones like this, start creating like little chakra sets or something. But this was just practice. There should be black space left in the middle there. It should be significantly darker. There should be black space left in the middle of each of those. Like, it takes a lot of thinking and designing to get them in the right spot. That's why a darker blue would have looked better there too. But anyways, you could imagine like with this purple, I could create a really cool neon light kind of effect there. So I have another canvas. It's not, I think it's a 16-inch canvas, maybe. I think it's maybe 16-inch. Let me see. 14-inch canvas. Then I'm going to actually play around with that with a bit. So expect a tutorial on that one soon too. And soon, I mean at some point in the next month, right? Microphone was too muted. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me okay now? Sorry, guys. I couldn't see the camera from where I was, or the phone from where I was. Okay, so I'm going to go through now, and I'm going to literally divide these spaces in half. This is how we did it down here, and that's how I'm going to do it again up here. This is what helps me create good spacing regardless of what size tool I'm using. So I'm literally just going to... But I have to remember too, that one I just screwed up a little bit. I got to put it out a little bit further from the line. Just a bit far? Okay. This video eventually will be, it's going to be uploaded to my Patreon by end of day on Monday. And then eventually this will be part of a large package for this entire piece, because it's kind of going to be a 5 or 6 parter probably. And again, we don't have to do this one every single week. As far as you want me to keep going, I'll keep going with this. Otherwise, we can take a break at some point and do a different project if you'd like. So kind of think on that one for the next few minutes too. Do we do this one again next week, or do we move on, or do we take a break and do something else for a change and come back to this? But once all of the parts are completed, then the tutorial will be available on my website. Okay, good. Okay, and there we go. So center, but out a little bit. If I go in too far right, it's going to create peaks there. Oh, and I've got a hair on my tool. Please don't fall off into the paint. Okay. Whew. Gotta love the rogue animal hairs. How you doing, Audrey? Audrey. Okay, just want to make sure your ear twitched. She's happy now because there's a door here that I open up to outside, and I move her cat tree in front of it, so she lays in the sun all day. Right? So to do these big circles, whether it's smaller ones like in the center or large ones like this, I go about it the exact same way. I find my key points. If I didn't have the guidelines on here, I would have started with 12 o'clock and kept spinning my piece so that I could line up 12 and 6 o'clock and then line those dots up at 3 and 9 and be able to dot at 12 and 6 o'clock again. And then just divide everything in half, right? It is possible to eyeball it, but it's always more helpful if you have guidelines on there. What is this? I don't even recognize this song. All right. That chalk line's driving me crazy, though, that I drew over on the side that you're going to see. This one over here. But I don't want to erase it until the paint's dry. I've made that mistake many, many times where I just wasn't thinking and I'd stop painting. I'm like, oh, I'm going to erase some stuff. And then I have eraser shavings in the new paint that I just laid down. Done that a lot. A lot. All right, and then we go and we keep dividing in half, right? Keep dividing in half. There we go. I feel like progress is being made. I love these circles. They feel like completing a part of the piece. They feel like a border. And don't be too hard on yourself if it doesn't feel perfect, right? Just like the rows in the middle, we're gonna have room here to put all of these little white tiny dots, like we're gonna do in the middle, and that's gonna space it out, right? Like even when you just look down here and you can see the white here compared to without white over here, the white is gonna add a really cool punch to it. And we're gonna do that on this border as well. I find when I'm doing large circles like this, I don't stop and clean off my tool quite as often. Sometimes when you get to this point, you might find it easier to do these dots on the side over here because it might be easier to kind of keep them in line with the curve that's happening. So just kind of trust your gut on where you think you're going to get the best view to be able to keep the lines where you need and want them to be. And remember, it's never gonna be perfect. And it doesn't need to be. There we go. Ow! Just banged my elbow on the table. So some of these I'm off a little bit with spacing, but that's okay because it'll all come out in the wash when we start adding more rows. Oh, except I keep banging my elbow every time I pull back to dip in the paint. I could keep the paint over there on the other side of the canvas, but I don't trust myself not to ruin it and dump it. So I keep it in front of me where I can hold it and be sure that I've got a grip on it. All right. So what do you guys think for next week? Do you want to see another round of this? Do you want to see something different for next week? What do you think? Let me know what you think, because we can always come back to this. I'm good to keep going with it, right? Oh, good night in India. I would love to see you again for sure. Thank you so much for coming and joining in. I'm glad that it was helpful. One vote for continuing on with this. Here we go. So these ones are going to have slightly bigger spaces than the row down below did, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's still going to look good. So still just dividing in half. Another round of this, not boring at all. Okay, awesome. I just want to make sure that I'm not putting you guys to sleep. I'm loving it, so I'm perfectly happy to continue going. Get up, countdown will. Christy votes this one as well. Okay. Here we go. And Manon, I think you know this already, but Anna, the people that I live with are from Holland. That's cool. Oops. Not in view of the camera anymore. Hi. Sometimes I do this when I'm doing these long lines. When I start to not really feel like I need to be dotting across for me, I'll start moving down the sides. I'm hoping to be going to visit Funky Upbeat Designs at some point, end of this month or into July. So hopefully that means I'll be doing some more drums and more guitars. That'd be so fun. But I have so much stuff that I want to work on this summer, you guys. We are not going to run out. That is for darn sure. So exciting. All right, I'm going to turn this again. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, and if you guys know of anybody who you think would like to come to one of the mug painting parties, it would be amazing if you'd share that link, the post that I put up earlier. I'll be putting up more as we get closer to it. I am going to start being an adult and actually promoting my events and my business. It's going to happen. Right now I just go through spurts of doing it, but it's on the docket for tomorrow evening is I am going to be getting myself a social media scheduling software that's going to help me significantly. And I'm going to start being more consistent with what I get out there. So there will be other posts that you can share. You certainly don't have to go fishing for the one that I put up today if it's not something easy to find by any stretch. But yeah, things are changing. Things are picking up, you guys. Things are happening. Tomorrow I'm going to spend some time with my mom and dad. I'm going to go see mom first. And after she's all good and situated, then I'm going to go see dad, spend some time with them, get some groceries, and then come home and work on that social media thing. I have to do some more coloring pages too if desperately need to. I think the coloring pages that I have, while they were pretty, I think they were almost way too fine. Like, do you ever get those coloring pages that unless you have the world's sharpest pencil crayon, you're not getting in there to color this stuff? I think that's where mine were. So I'm going to redo a bunch of them and spend some time on those over the next little bit because I think they can be better and I think they can be a lot more enjoyable. So I'm excited to work on that too. I always find that very relaxing. At some point too, I'm more than happy to do a live while I'm drawing on Procreate Elizabeth. If that's something that would be helpful, we can always do that on one of the lives. I wouldn't feel comfortable to say to do a tutorial on it because I don't necessarily have a process for walking through how I do all of this stuff. But I could do a live where I'm kind of winging it and show you what I go through and what kind of stuff I use and what I've picked up along the way. If anybody's interested in Procreate and drawing mandalas on your iPad, that's something that I definitely want to do more of. Okay, so this was a size 6. I'm going to go up to a size 7. And I was on color number 4, so now I'm going to go to color number 3. And this is going to be what we're going to do for the rest of the day today, folks, for this next 20 minutes. Just completely going over and doing more and more rows of these colors. So this is where, again, you can sink in and really just kind of melt into this whole part of this process, right? And that's really... So now that I've got those, yeah, Brianna, this is a purple one. I knew you were going to love this one. This is one where I'm going to start, and I'm going to start dotting every other one and then fill them in. The reason I dot for every other one, let me show you what I mean by this, because this is where the process is going for the next little bit here. I'm just going to see where I'm comfortable dotting. Okay, right, let's see here. Now, hopefully, let's turn the light a little, see if that helps. So I'm going in with a size tool that's one size larger than the row before, and I am dotting here, and then I am dotting here. I am going to do this all the way around the mandala. The reason that I am doing this is when I'm putting this dot down, the only point of reference I have is that space in between the 2 dots in the previous row. Right? That's the only point of reference. Yes, I have guidelines. I've got other stuff in there too, but those are really my point of reference because I want to center everything based on the design that I have. Now, when I go to place this dot in the middle though, oh, that one you're not going to be able to see well. Hang on. When I go to place this dot in the middle here, I now have 2 more points of reference. I want to know how far away from that dot, how far away from that dot, is it about the same? And then I've got that space between. So it helps me kind of keep them centered like that. And the color's getting slightly lighter. So I kind of go ahead and do every other one and then I backfill before I turn the piece. I used to do every other one all the way around the entire piece, but then it's so much spinning and turning that's really unnecessary. So I just go through and I kind of backfill now. And I am using that guideline just to kind of see some spacing and know kind of where I'm at. but I'm not going to go too much farther than that as far as relying on that guideline. I'm really going to rely on the other dots that I've already laid down to help me, because that's what I want to measure it against anyway, right? Like, I'm measuring against what's already put down and how they go together. It can be the perfect measurement with a guideline, but if it doesn't look right with your piece, it doesn't matter. So my piece is always the first point of reference that I use. So it's just laying down that very first foundation circle that you have to do that dividing the spaces in half, because after then, this is where it can get speedy too. And it can be really, really fun. Right? Because you feel like you're making some pretty good headway. I do anyway. There we go. And then we keep going. Oops, I gotta change my cloth again. I have too much purple paint on it. I just fold it in different ways so that I've got a clean section. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. I'm hoping I can get a couple of these rows done before we sign off today, so that I can kind of take a step back and show you how it looks with all of these on there. I used to think people just did this stuff eyeballing it all. And there are a lot of artists that do. But it's also very encouraging to see the number of artists that find their tips and tricks and use their guidelines. And like, there are some artists that use tons of more guidelines. And their work shows for it. Their work is significantly more precise, right? So but I still truly believe that it's about where you find the joy. If you don't find that part of the process fun, you're never going to do it as well as how you are going to do the things that you do enjoy. Right? Doesn't mean you won't excel at it, but it's not going to be the same. Right? So I kind of always look at it that way. If I don't enjoy that part of the process, I'm not going to do it. Now, there's specific projects where I do enjoy doing it for, but I feel like I'm comfortable with spacing and dots and everything that I don't always need it. But I 100% need it with these circles. There's an artist, Christine Ain, and she makes tons of these circles. Fine Rosa does as well, with no guidelines. Like, she doesn't even work in the spaces, you guys. Like, she'll just do a row of dots that are super tight together, and then she'll do another row of dots regardless of where they hit and relate into the row before. And they get them round, and they still stay round, like round circles, and it blows my freaking mind. I have no idea how they do it, but it fascinates the ever-loving daylights out of me. But I also listen to my body and go, that doesn't sound fun to try that right now. What sounds fun to me right now is to have some lines, to get some lines down, and to get a piece together that I really like. You know, and someday there will come a time where it sounds like fun for me probably, but listen to that voice. That voice is so key to your growth and learning and skill development, all of it. Hard work doesn't fix everything, right? You have to follow that enjoyment. You will pay attention to more. It's just like sitting in class and listening to a lecture, right? If you don't find it interesting, you're not going to remember as much. You have to make that emotional connection in there. And when you do, that's when the magic happens. All right. Here we go. See, this is the relaxing part again. Anytime I kind of zone off and stop talking, you know that this is a spot where you could really sink into it and let yourself kind of be carried away for a little while. It's incredibly enjoyable. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying watching this one because I really am enjoying doing it. This has been super fun. See, we've got a wonky dot there, and that's okay. Because when I add these ones in, no one's ever going to notice that this one's in further. Never in a million years. So when I get to the end of this row, we'll have a look at the time. And if you guys want to stick around for another row, I'm happy to keep going. But if we do keep going, I'm probably going to be a lot quieter and just kind of power through. But if you guys want to stay for that, we can definitely stay on. I think I need to back the camera up a little bit. Need to sign off a bit early today, sending happy vibes and lots of love to everybody and looking forward to seeing y'all again soon. We'll look forward to that too, Rex. Sending you so much love. So much love. I'm so glad you were able to pop by today and hang with us. It's wonderful to spend time with you. All right, this is going to be a little bit better. I think this is going to be better. All right. All right, here we go. I'm not going to be able to stay on too late, actually, because I know the house is trying to stay quiet for me while I'm on here. So I want to be able to let them get back to their lives and be noisy. But you guys are so lovely. I love how much you guys love on each other and support each other, and it's so wonderful. I absolutely love it. Still trying to win the lottery. $70 million the other night. Let me tell you, if I win the lottery, whoo, we're gonna have some fun. All right, let's have a look-see. You ready to see? So I'm gonna set it back this way again. There we go. So I'm gonna do 2 more rows of the purples along the outside. And then I'm going to use the spacing here in the spaces in between the petals, in between the swoops, sorry, to set up my next row of petals on that outside edge. Now I'm probably gonna try and do fairly large petals. So then that's gonna give me a clearer idea of whether I want to do 2 rows of petals and swoops or just 1 row of petals and then swoops. So it's all going to depend on how far. I'm guessing it's going to be 1 row of petals and swoops. That's my guess. But it gives you an idea of how, you know, we've spent 6 hours on this together so far. Plus I spent about an hour and a half on it by myself. Plus the half an hour-ish prepping it, right? So you're already looking at a 7-hour project, 8-hour project, right? So these are big time consuming things. Now, the thing is they sound super intimidating, but if you have the opportunity to just sit down and paint all day, it's crazy what you can knock out, because you do end up going faster because you're working from a place of inspiration and exhilaration, right? And when you're doing that, things come together significantly quicker. But you're also not watching the time. You don't care. It's irrelevant. You just want to paint. You just want to keep going. I just want to do one more. It's very similar to me for people who love to read. It's similar to me of just one more page, just one more chapter, just one more before I go to bed, right? It's very much the same thing. So make sure that you follow that, right? You've got to follow that joy and that fun and that inspiration. So in theory, you could knock out a full canvas work in one day if you were sitting down and had, 10 to 12 hours to sit and paint. I think this one's probably more of a 2-day project. Maybe all the basic stuff down one day, but then you want to have a bit of a break and then come back to it and add detail and varnish and all of that sort of stuff. But even still, you can get them done fairly quickly, but only when they are coming from a space where you're feeling that inspiration, like I said, and that exhilaration, right? Because if you're not, you're going to go slower. You're going to be looking for other things that you want to do. You're going to be looking around the room more. You're going to be distracted by the things around you. So remember that if you are going to start on a big piece, I always recommend it. I think they're super fun, and any experience that you haven't tried before is always worth trying in my books. You're going to know real fast whether you like it or not, right? But I think that it's really important to remind yourself to, before you start on a bigger piece, if you have to custom mix any paints, make sure you mix them ahead of time and mix more than you think you're going to need. Do twice as much as you think you're going to need if you have to. You can always reuse that paint. That's where those little paint pots really come in handy, right? Make sure you've got all of that stuff set up. Make sure you've got somewhere that you can set this aside and that it is going to be safe from damage while you take a break from it, right? That's my biggest thing with this one is, where can I put it where it's going to be safe for a week in a room where there are multiple cats and creatures and me doing other things, right? So it's not just about, do I have the surface to paint it on, but what am I going to do with it, right? And then what am I going to do with it when I varnish it? How am I going to protect it? Do I have something that I can put over it to protect it while the varnish dries? These are all different things that you want to consider. Now, I don't have anything to put over this while the varnish dries, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to take old boxes and piece together and make my own box that's going to sit over top of this to cover it, or try and makeshift a pizza box or something, right? But there's lots of things to consider with it, and it's all worth it if you love it. Okay? Hey, Barb, you got some internet. Hello. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that I can answer for you? Let me know in the comments if you do, and in the meantime, we'll just clear up the business. So, this coming Friday, the first mug painting party from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. There's 2 different ones on my website. There's one called Champagne and one that's called the Black and White. That's based on the designs that we're going to be mimicking on our new mugs. It's got all your supplies lists and everything. And there are 2 dates and times for each design. So there's a Friday night and a Wednesday afternoon option for both designs. Please, please, please make 100% sure that you choose the date and time that you want to be there, and do your absolute best to not need to switch if you can. That's my personal favor to you that I'm asking from you. If possible, of course, emergencies come up, and if you have the opportunity to make it to another one, I would totally happily move you over if we can. But do the best you can to check your schedules and make sure you can be there at the one that you signed up for. And just also know that every single one of those, any mug painting parties we do, anybody who attends is going to get access to the recording. You're home Friday for the weekend. Yay, perfect. Be good timing. Anna, yes, my website is mandalaloveaffair.com. And if you go to my bio here on Facebook, there's a link that says Beacons. If you go on there, there's a bunch of different tabs in there that'll take you to my website too. Take care, Jerry Lynn. It was wonderful having you here. I'm so glad that you were here. Enjoy your pedicure and the shopping spree. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. The link for the class is on my website. So if you go to mandalaloveaffair.com and then go into accessories, in the link in my bio, I do have a direct link that'll take you right to the class listings in the section that the classes are in. And the one for this Friday, so this Friday and next Wednesday will be the same design. And then next Friday and the following Wednesday will be the second design. So, and I'm going to need some feedback from you guys. Like, how often do I do these? Is 2 a month too much? Is 2 a month enough? Should I mix it up and do 1 mug and 1 wine tumbler glass or 1 vase? Or how should we mix this up? Because I could do these every day and be perfectly happy and enjoy every friggin' second of it. So you kind of let me know what you want to see and I'll make it happen. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. But if you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help any way that I can. And next Saturday, we will continue on with this piece. I will finish the last of those 2 circles. And then we'll jump in and add the first row of petals and probably the last row of swoops. So then once that's done, then once it dries, then it's detail time. Then it's going in and doing some top dots. It's doing the little white detail in there, figuring out the detail to add in the center, all kinds of different stuff like that. So we've got at least 2 more parts, if not 3 parts remaining. And every single week, I'm not going to plan these ones farther out than a week because I want to be able to know if you guys want a break, we'll take a break and do a different project. Okay. So thank you for keeping me posted on what you want to see going forward. And I can't wait for the first mug party. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll post my live schedule for TikTok. Actually, I'm looking at the calendar, so I'm going to do TikTok at 7 p.m. this coming Wednesday, the 4th. Nope, the 9th. And then 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th. So that's going to be my TikTok. And I think I'm going to start streaming on Twitch this Saturday. I think next Saturday I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. So anybody who's on Twitch or curious about Twitch and wants to see me completely shit the bed, then that could be a fun evening to spend with me. So any questions, you guys, let me know. Hello in Argentina. And thank you guys for coming and spending so much time with me today. I loved seeing you, and I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye.